Hey guys, it's Rachel from Hope Corner Farm. By day, I'm a home ec teacher who teaches hundreds of students how to crochet, quilt, sew, and cook. And today I'm going to teach you how to complete a simple granny square in crochet. The granny square is one of the most foundational Afghan squares that you can make. You can vary the size of it depending on the hook size that you use. So you can see my little samples here, all made with the exact same yarn, but each one is different depending on the size hook that I used. So you can kind of see the size difference here between a G hook and a J hook. Today's sample, I'm going to use the G hook and show you how to do that one. I kind of like how this one looks the best. Total personal preference. You do what works best for you. But let's grab a hook and some yarn and we'll get crocheting. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you get notifications of when I post new videos, and don't forget to give me some feedback on this video. Give me a like or a comment, let me know what I did well or things that I could improve upon. One thing I love about the granny square is depending on where and how you use your yarn and your color, it can change the look of your squares dramatically. So all four of these squares here, all were done with the G hook. And all were done with the exact same size yarn, which was a medium size 4-weight yarn. But notice by alternating or altering and changing where I put the colors, it completely changes the look of each of them, which makes it kind of fun. So for today's sample, we're gonna work on this pattern here. So we're gonna look at this look and we're gonna use the G hook. So for today's sample, I'm going to create a block just like this, or a square just like this. So you're going to need 4 different yarns in 4 different colors. All of these again are a medium weight size 4 yarn, and I'm going to use a G crochet hook, which is 4.0 millimeters in diameter. So again, you need 4 different colors. So I've got this kind of dark turquoise, I've got this gold, I've got this lighter turquoise, and I've got the white. So you're going to need to gather your supplies and then we'll get started. And we're going to start with our dark color first. So in addition to our yarn and our G hook, you're also going to need a pair of scissors and a yarn needle because I like to weave in my ends as I go. I feel like it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to set these to the side here and then we'll get ready to get going. All right, so to start, I like to start my granny squares with a magic circle. I feel like it gives a nicer middle. You could start this by chaining 4 and then slip stitching those chains together, the first and the last one together to create a circle. But I'm going to show you how to magic circle here, and I feel like it gives a nicer start. If you need to see the magic circle tutorial in slower, more detailed moves, I'm going to include a link to a video below that takes it a lot slower and in more detail. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab on here and I'm going to put my yarn tail kind of hanging down. I'm going to pinch and hold, and then I'm going to go over the top of 3 of my fingers. I'm going to come under those 3 fingers. I'm going to come back up to the top and I'm going to cross over. I'm going to use my pinky here to hold that yarn in place. Now I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to face it downwards towards my fingers. I'm going to go under the first loop, over the second, and I'm going to pull that second loop forward and under the first, and it kind of creates an A look here. Now I'm going to very gently rotate my hook so it faces upward now. So I've gone from my hook facing down to now it's facing up, and you can see that kind of creates a little loop here. Now at this point, I'm ready to chain. So I'm going to take my index finger and my thumb and I just kind of pinch onto this loop here and hold it so things stay in place so I can pull my fingers out of there. I'm going to get ready to crochet. I'm going to move this over to my other hand, this loop here, and I'm going to pinch it as well. Now I'm going to chain 3. So here's 1, 2, and 3. So there's my loop and my chain 3. Now I'm going to put 2 double crochets into this loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over, go into the loop, yarn over, pull through the loop. Now I've got 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that completes 1 double crochet. I'm going to repeat the process. Yarn over into the circle, yarn over, pull through the circle. Now I've got 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that creates a quarter or 1/4 of this center part. So I've just created one of these little pieces, so right there. Now what I'm going to do to give myself a little bit of space is I'm going to chain 2. So here's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to put 3 double crochets into this circle now. Now the reason I only did 2 here is because that chain 3 that I started with is actually going to count as a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the circle, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's 1 double crochet. Now I'm going to put 2 more into that loop. There's 2, and here's 3. Again, if you need to see how to double crochet in slower, more detailed movements, I'll include a link to a video below that takes that a lot slower so you can see what that looks like now. Give myself some space by chaining 2, put 3 more double crochets into here. So here is 1, 2, and 3. So that's what it looks like now. I'm going to chain 2, and then I have 1 more section to do because I've got 1, 2, 3, and if you look at my sample, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my last little section here. So I'm going to put 3 more double crochets into the loop. So yarn over, into the loop, yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to put 2 more double crochets in here. And that's what it looks like now. Now again, I need to give myself some space, so I'm going to chain 2. So this is what my loop looks like right now. Now I'm ready to tighten this thing up. So I need to take this yarn tail right here and unwind it a little bit. So as you can see, it's kind of wound around that loop. So I'm just going to gently pull this out here. Now it's ready to tighten. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take and I'm going to gently put a little bit of pressure right here, and I'm going to start pulling on this yarn tail, and I'm going to tighten that center piece up. I'm going to keep pulling until it's nice and tight. So that's what it looks like after you've tightened the center. Now the very last thing I need to do is come over here, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain 3 space. So if I kind of get this, I'm going right here into this space right there. I'm going to put my hook, pick up 1 leg, and I'm going to make sure to pick up the other leg. So that's what it looks like there. So you can see I've got 2 legs on that hook. There it is from the side. So again, I'm just going, here's my chain 3. I'm going right here into this top chain, putting 2 legs on my hook, yarn over, pull through that chain, and then through the loop on my hook. So now at this point, I'm going to grab my scissors. I'm going to cut off my yarn. I'm going to fasten off and tighten. And then what I like to do is I like to weave in my ends as I go. So I'm going to take and put my yarn needle on my yarn tail, and I'm going to weave in my ends. There's no right or wrong way, whatever works best for you for weaving in your ends. I like to come down, and then I like to kind of weave across as well through a few stitches, just to make sure that we have a good, secure, hidden yarn tail. I'm going to cut it off. Then I'm going to repeat with this other one. Take off my yarn needle and cut off the tail. And that completes that round. All right, now we're ready for round 2. And for round 2, I'm going to bring in the gold color. That's how I set up my sample here, where I had the dark in the middle, and then I went with the gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come from the wrong side. So this does have a right side and a wrong side to it. So how I tell the difference is on the right side. If you look closely at this, you can see the stitch tops, the V's that are the tops of my stitches, are just slightly curling this way. And whatever side they're curling towards, that's the front side or the right side. Whereas if you flip it to the wrong side, you can kind of see that everything is curling down and under. And so that means this is the wrong side of my square. So that's how I tell the difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook into that chain 2 space. I'm going to bring my gold yarn over. I'm going to drape my gold yarn over top of my hook, and I'm going to pull through that chain 2 space. I'm going to take, and I like to pin my yarn tail, let me move that out of the way, over here with my two fingers. I just kind of pin that yarn tail in place to create a little bit of tension. I've moved my pinning here with this middle finger and my thumb are going to hold that yarn tail in place. I'm going to chain 3, so here's 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to turn. Before I do anything else, I'm going to take this yarn tail and I kind of flip it to the back side. We'll eventually weave that yarn tail in, so don't worry about that. Now I'm going to place 2 more double crochets into this chain 2 space. So I yarn over, insert my hook into this space, yarn over, pull through the space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That completes 1 double crochet. Now we have 1 more to do, so we yarn over into the chain 2 space, yarn over, pull through, complete the double crochet. So that completes kind of our section or our chunk there again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to place 3 more double crochets into that chain 2 space. So here is 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and then 3 double crochets. And then that kind of completes our corner there, so you can kind of see what this looks like. I'll set this down so you can see what that looks like there. So that's what the corner looks like right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to come over to this next chain 2 space, and I'm going to place 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. So here is 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 2. Then I'm going to place 3 more double crochets in that same chain 2 space. So here's 1, 2, and 3. That completes the next corner. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go to the next chain 2 space. I'm going to place 3 double crochets in this next chain 2 space. So here's 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2 and put 3 more double crochets in that same space. So here's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go to the very last chain 2 space, place 3 double crochets, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 2. And we're going to put 3 more double crochets into that chain 2 space. So here's 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to come over here, and we are going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 that we started with. So I'm going to pick up this leg right here, and then I'm going to carefully pick up that other leg. So this is what it should look like. Notice we've got that bump here on the bottom, so the third leg is down there, and I've got 2 legs right there. That's what it should look like. And then we're just going to slip stitch through the top of that chain 3 and into that spot right there. And that completes round 2. So then what I do is I again cut off my yarn. I'm going to fasten off here. So I grab my yarn here that I ended with, and I'm just going to yarn over and pull through and fasten off there. And then I'm going to quickly weave in those ends. And that completes the next round. And that's what we look like right now. Now we're ready to bring in our lighter teal color here. So we're on to this round right here. So just like I did with the previous round, I'm actually going to start on the back side. And just like with the previous round, the right side, again, the tops of my stitches curl just slightly towards the right side of my work. Whereas on the back side, you can see everything kind of curls away from and underneath. And that's how you know you're on the wrong side. So into any of your chain 2 spaces, you're going to insert your hook. I'm going to bring in my light teal, drape it over my hook just like I did the last time. Pull through. I'm going to hold things in place, get ready to go, hold things in place, and I'm going to chain 3. So here's 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to turn. Again, I'm going to flip that yarn tail to the back here and out of the way. I'm going to put 2 more double crochets into this chain 2 space. So here's 1 and 2. Now I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to put 3 more double crochets into that chain 2 space. So here is 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to come over to this chain 1 space from the previous round, and I'm going to put 3 double crochets into that space. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going over to my chain 2 corner. I'm going to put 3 double crochets into that corner space. So there's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to chain 2. So I always chain 2 on the corners. I'm going to put 3 more double crochets into that space. So there's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1 into this chain 1 space from the previous row. I'm going to put 3 more double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1, go to the next chain 2 space. I'm going to place 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. Put 3 more double crochets into that same space. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Come over here to this chain 1 space, and I'm going to place 3 double crochets in there. So there's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1, go to the next chain 2 space, place 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2 because it's a corner, 3 more double crochets. So here's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1, place 3 double crochets into this chain 1 space. So here's 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to come over here, and same thing, I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 that I started with. So I again like to put 2 legs of that chain on top, 1 on the bottom when I'm going to slip stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, pull through that chain 3. Oops, didn't quite grab onto it, so pull through, and then pull through the loop on my hook. I'm going to cut it free from my yarn. I'm going to fasten off. Grab my yarn needle, and I'm going to weave in my ends. And after I weave in my ends, that completes the row, or the round, I guess I should say. And that completes round 3. Now we're ready for the very last round here. It's our white color we're going to bring in. That's kind of my border color. So again, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to come from the wrong side. Any of these corner chain 2 spaces you can start in. So I'm just going to pick one and put my hook in there. Just like I've done before, I'm going to drape my yarn over my hook, pull through that chain 2 space, kind of pin things in place, get my yarn ready to go, pin things in place. We're going to chain 3. So here's 1, 2, 3, and we're going to turn, flip that yarn tail to the back. We're going to put 2 more double crochets into this chain 2 space. So here's 1, and here's 2, chain 2, and then we're going to put 3 more double crochets into that same chain 2 space. So here's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1. We're going to come to this chain 1 space right here. We're going to put 3 double crochets. So here's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, go to the next chain 1 space, and again we're going to put 3 double crochets in there. So here's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1 again. Now we're at a corner, chain 2 space. So we're going to put 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 2. We're going to put 3 more double crochets into that corner. We're going to chain 1, go to this first chain 1 space and put 3 double crochets in there. So there's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, come to the next chain 1 space, 1, 2, and 3 double crochets, chain 1, go to the next chain 2 space, start with 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2 because it's a corner space, put 3 more double crochets in there, so 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, go to the first chain 1 space, put 3 double crochets, chain 1, go to the next chain 1 space and put 3 more double crochets, chain 1, go to our last chain 2 space, put 3 double crochets, chain 2, put 3 more double crochets into that corner space, so there's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, put 3 double crochets in this first chain 1 space, chain 1, 3 more double crochets in this next chain 1 space, chain 1, and then come and just like we have before, we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 space, grabbing 2 legs on top, 1 on the bottom, so you can kind of see how I'm going in there. Yarn over, pull through the chain 3, through the loop, find my scissors, clip off, and then fasten off by yarning over and then pulling all the way through that loop and then tightening. So you can see what that looks like now. Now we're ready to weave in our ends. So both of these ends are going to get woven in, and that'll finish up this granny square. The nice thing about weaving in my ends as I go is when I get to the end of the square, I don't have so much weaving to do. It seems like it goes a little faster. I also feel like my squares end up turning out just a little bit better when I actually weave in my ends as I go. Total personal preference, but I just like how it works out that way. Now I'm going to cut off my yarn. So again, this is the back side, and you can see how when it's on the back side, it kind of curls down. So if you flip it over, it's kind of curling up right now, and you can kind of pull it out straight, kind of get it to lay a little bit flatter. You could even block it if you want to get it to lay nice and flat. But that is the classic granny square in crochet. I love how these look. They're always classy. They always look great. They're actually not very hard to work with. It's a great starter square project for you if you're getting into crochet. And even if you're an advanced crocheter, it's kind of fun to just work on these and create a lovely blanket, purse. I've seen pillows, lots of things with granny squares lately, cardigans. They just are fashionable and they always look great. So I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Give me some feedback on this video, and I hope you guys have a blessed day.